Okay.
All right.
Duke, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you for being...
Nice to be here.
And thank you for being here, really. Duke, I just want to go back to the first time I met you. I met you at Startup Delta, and you were giving or introducing two of the successful companies that started as a startup and then they became successful companies. And I honestly looked at you, and you were talking to they were on stage, and you were talking to one of the founders, and you cared about his character, and you cared about that you're going to invest or help them to become successful, not only in business, but also on their personal level. Like you cared about them being able to move on. Why is this intense care about a person's character as well as their business?
Well, I think this is twofold. That for one, it is important that if you go in the adventure of starting your own startup or your own business, it's quite a step. You take a lot of risk, you take a lot of responsibilities. And so the people that do it, they need to be applauded and they need to be helped, because there's only so many that can do it and that have the guts and the courage to make this step. So I think if you are in a strong and you feel personally well, you are more able to make this a success, basically.
Yeah.
So it's important for somebody that you support, that they feel that they have your genuine support, and not just because you are trying to get money from them. Because I'm afraid that a lot of the organizations around startups, they have one goal, is that for them to get an income, which is fine, but it's a different thing. I don't do this for money. I do this because it's giving back. And it's, I think the most important thing for me, the difference between me and a lot of other people that also help startups, they help startups, but as a job, to earn an income, which is fine. They need to have an income, obviously. I'm not in there at the same way. I do not have an income from helping startups. I do that for free, basically.
Yeah.
I do that for giving back. And if you had an office in the US, it is custom, but also you're a jerk if you do not give back to society the success that the society gave to you.
Yeah.
So society in the whole, like your customers and everyone working for you, helped you to build this. And at the point that you get rich from it, or you have earned it, because I've worked hard for it, but still you have a lot of money, then you are obliged to do something back to society. Yeah. And that there it is part of the community. Yeah. Here it's something that people look at, why do you do this? They think that you have some sort of secret hidden agenda.
Yeah.
And it's something that is in there, it's in the society. That also differentiates the Silicon Valley community with community here.
Yeah.
So, and I always have to laugh when people say we want to be the Silicon Valley of Europe. It will never happen. Because one of these things is that the community is different.
Yeah, that's the mindset is also different.
The mindset. It's a mindset. It's not a thing. It's a mindset. Actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the mindset is not here yet. Yeah. Maybe it will happen one day, but for now, no.
But do you want that, the greedy way of looking at stuff like in the US, where just like, how do I become successful and not care about other people? And I think what you're doing is amazing, because you don't have that mindset. You would care about the person's character as well. Okay, so let's go to Startup Delta. Why did you start Startup Delta or initiate?
Scale-up Delta.
Scale-up Delta. Scale-up Delta. Yeah.
Okay. Now we're on board, and at Scale-up Delta, now I understand the word that we met there.
Yeah. Scale-up Delta. Sorry.
This is not Startup Delta. Scale-up Delta. But I make the mistake myself many times as well.
Oh, okay.
Scale-up Delta. Well, why did I start Scale-up Delta? What happened is that, in fact, it is not my idea. It's the idea from one of the scale-up companies in Delft.
Yeah.
And they said, this guy particularly said, well, if you scale, you grow out of the support programs for startups, because you know everything.
Yeah.
If you have 15 people working for you, you have 1 or 2 million euro cash in a year, you have an income and things like that. Other things are important, and these are not covered in startup programs.
Yeah.
So he said, you're getting in some sort of a vacuum. You get in sort of a no man's land.
Yeah.
Where you're on your own.
Yeah.
And there's nobody that will help you, because there's nobody that you first of all can trust with what you do, because you have to be careful that you don't give away too much of the details.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that the entrepreneurs are all working on their scale up. You have to focus on your own company, and you don't go to meetups.
Yeah.
You don't go to Venture Cafe.
Yeah.
With scale companies, you never see them here.
That's very true.
And because they don't have time, and the time that they do have, they are very precise and particular how they spend it.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, I have the urge and the need to talk to fellow entrepreneurs, the same scale companies that are in the same position as I am, to talk about. So I think the first session even, meetup number 1, or meetup number 2, because was it with the Swap Feeds guy?
It was with the
two elderly guys. That was the first.
With the bicycle guy.
All right. Well, the Swap Feeds guys is a different story. It's a special story because they started as 3 students with 30 bikes, and they came to me in Delft for coaching, and they could not go into the official program. But I said, Delft's not paying me, so I can coach anybody who I want to coach. And they came to me and said, okay, we have 30 bikes and we want to grow this, but we don't have money. They rented out at the time for I think 6 or 5 euros a bike. It was an old bike that they refurbished, so like the orphan bikes from the stations.
Yeah.
And the municipality gave it to them for €1 per bike, which is the iron price, basically, the weight of the iron. And so they repaired it in this kind of social workshop where they do people that are handicapped, they work on these things. So there's no pressure and this is a low price. So they repaired 30 bikes, they paid for that themselves, put it in the hands of students, they rented to students for €5 a month. But then they have 100 other bikes and they don't have money to repair it. So you get to know these guys, how they think and how they operate, and I help them with getting funding with Fool's Family Friends, which means that you do a certificate and you sell the certificate with a bike as your security. You sponsor a bike basically.
Yeah.
For €120 and 6% per year interest. Well, it's a good loan. On the bank you get nothing. And now you get 6% and you own part of the company.
Wow.
And within 2 weeks they had 30 or 20,000 euros. I don't know exactly how much. Anyway, they had money. So they repaired the bikes they had, and with the rest of the money they spent half of it, and the other half they went to Union, which is a manufacturer of new bikes. So they tried to see if they could use new bikes for this, because you don't have to repair them and they last longer.
Yeah.
And Union said, well, you can have the bikes, but go talk to the owner. And the owner was old Mr. Pon. And Pon is the importer of Volkswagen. It's a huge company. But he sold his shares and he started a coupon, which is for cows. How do you call it? Bulls? Actually, there's the male cow, and he actually breeds them.
Oh, okay.
And he's very successful in that as well, so it sticks to the guy basically. He's 70 years old, so the older guy, and they came to him and they wanted the investment, so he said, oh, I want to see these guys, and they came there and said, dude, this is not gonna work, but the guys are okay, so I'm gonna do this.
Oh wow.
And that's where it started, and then he actually was invited to do one of the bike issuing sessions for the start of the college year. So you have this beginning of the college, and then there's new students come in and they need a bike. So you could cross a little box on the apply form for being a student. Do you need a bike from Swapfiets?
Oh, nice.
So 2,500 bikes at 1 week time.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So and one day they had old Mr. Pond there to show him how it works. And he got this blue jacket from Swapfiets on, and he was issuing bikes. So he had the day of his life, I think. And at the end of the day, he said, guys, you are not ambitious enough. End of the year, next year, 2017, all students said this. So they immediately scaled it up. Well, end of the year, they did all this the students said they were successful. And beginning of year, old Mr. Pond sold it back to Pond, the big Pond.
Yeah.
For tens and tens and tens of millions of euros.
Yeah.
A lot of money. And so these guys now all of a sudden they are from student, they were just graduated, and like half a year later they are millionaires, all three of them, and they're still in the operation of the bikes. And it does a lot of things to the person themselves, and they stayed themselves. They stayed just normal guys. They didn't, flashy. And you can also see some people, and then they buy a Ferrari and they do this and do that, but they stayed as they were. So
yeah, I saw them. I saw the guy when he was talking. He was very, very young. Like
he was 24, 25.
And he was down to earth. He didn't. He wasn't,
And
bragging
no.
or.
And then the thing is, they are running now an operation with 1,000 people on board. Imagine.
Yeah, and I heard how they were talking about their company culture and how they chose the co-founders. It was really interesting, and even a learning thing to just hear to them. Now I want to ask you, because you're also a mentor in a big way, and I saw that on your LinkedIn profile that you said that it's not about the answers, it's about the questions. What type of questions, for example, that you're going to ask a person who's going to come to you? Or maybe if we could put it on an example, who came to you last and what questions that you asked them?
Well, there was the last one was an immigrant, a young guy that was here on a visa, and he was a student, so he had student visa. And at the end of the study, you have to go back. Basically. And so he started this company with special materials. He could make composites that were fire resistant, like high temperature resistant composite. Which in composite is very plastic will melt if you did like 100 degrees. He could go to 1,000 to 1,200 degrees. So he had this idea, but he was being kicked out of the country because his visa was expired, and he didn't have money to actually set up the business yet. And what I did is actually help him to get into Yes Delft. So Yes Delft can take care of a visa, he's got a bank loan, and he's got support. And the question I asked him was, okay, if you get into Yes Delft, what is your plan? How are you going to do it? Have you for yourself made in a tech plan, because you're getting money, but the money will at some point will be finished, you have spent it. So have you thought about how to do it from there? I mean, what's the next step in there? So do you think like a chess player, and do you think ahead of what your next move will be? Because he needed to have a patent filed, he needed to have, I have to place actually to work. He had a couple of guys to do it with, but they also had visa, so they need to apply for a startup visa. So there's a lot of things that you now have to do in quite a short amount of time to get started. And do you have a plan? Well, and I helped him compose the plan basically. And the first thing he said, I need to file a patent, because if I'm going to talk to my potential customers and I don't have a patent, they will steal it. Because the idea is it's copyable, of course, everything's copyable. He said, okay, go talk to the patent lawyer that we have in-house in Yes Delft and make a deal with him. Normally you pay 8,000 euros or 9,000 euros even. Make a deal, tell him, explain him what your situation is, and see if he can do something. And he came back and he had the patent filed for 1,000 euros.
Wow!
With 7,000 euros to go once he has money. So he didn't cut it and the price, but he got some sort of agreement to actually extend the payment over time. Which now means that he has a patent, and shortly registered the patent, and he can now go, it's a simpler patent, but he can go to customers, he can try to get them on board, get some sort of pre-sale money or whatever. So it will help him to get started.
He's impressive because he really, really wants this. That you can see the drive, and he will make anything work.
And it's a very quiet, introvert guy. He's not like some entrepreneurs that you don't have to help because they will manage. But this guy was like introvert, and he was quiet and careful. It's a researcher basically. He said the first thing you do is find a co-founder and a business guy that's going to do your sales, because if you're going to do the sales, they kick you out. I mean, you're too quiet, you're too cautious, and and his English wasn't too bad, but not. It's an Indian, Pakistani guy, so they need to learn and they need to get into it. It's the same with Gaurav. Gaurav from Scalex he's now in the promotion video of Rotterdam. Gaurav came to Yes Delft, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm the guy that does selection. So when they come in, the pre-selections or the initial take-in, most of them I'll do that. So he came there and he said, okay, and he was fresh from India. I was just, popped over and had this idea, and he had this little carton box where he put his prototype in. He made a prototype made from satay pins and elastic bands.
Okay.
And it is an exoskeleton. It's something that you wear, and you use the springs or the elastic bands to actually lift, to actually store energy and lift heavy things. Help the elastic bands to lift things. And in reality, it's not elastic bands, but it's steel springs.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, anyway. So this is a typical guy that initially was shy, but he was also Zen in the way that it was really Indian. He played the sitar guitar and things like that, and he had long hair. Yeah. He was the obvious artist almost. If you see him now, he is an entrepreneur, and you no mistake about it. Very dedicated. He knows what he has. He knows how to present it. So he's grown into it. And with help, we discussed. He was at a certain point, like 1 year or 2 years in, he was really run down. He had no money left. It was no customers. He was still working on the prototype, and he had no way where to find money to go on. But he did actually go on. So he just reduced his spending, asked friends to help him, and he got there. And now he's got funded, and it's a huge company.
That's really awesome. What do you think that thing that a person has to have in their character to move from a person who's artistic to a person who's an entrepreneur? Entrepreneur people, or an entrepreneur is actually a person who calculates, who's logical, who's thinking ahead.
Also creative. So the lot of entrepreneurs are creative people.
Yeah.
Is they have a mind. I had this thing that I see things, right? I'm not good at calculating things, but I see a solution like before me in my mind, how it should look. And I read the book about Elon Musk, and he has the same thing. And I'm not comparing myself to Elon Musk, but it's a way of thinking. And I noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs have the same thing.
Yeah.
They see the solution, and they don't know how to get there, but they have the image where they want to go. So what's the ideal situation like an architect? It's the same thing. An architect, they have the view in their head, how it should look, and then they have to find a way to get it on paper. And that's exactly what an entrepreneur does. They have this vision, this dream, and you're trying to get the dream to be reality, to get it on paper or get it in reality in a company. You try to materialize it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's the same thing. But you know what I get? I get criticized. Why are you being too dreamy? Or I get, why would you look at that? That's impossible to be done. I was just like,
nothing is impossible.
Exactly. In my head, it's already there. But
well, there you go. You have the same thing. It's in your head. It's there, and that's exactly what the entrepreneurs have. So the people that work for that, it's a DNA thing. I always say, it's in your DNA. Are you an entrepreneur or not? So if you're not, you're risk averse. You see risk and you see dangers, not opportunities.
Okay. Yeah.
So an entrepreneur sees everywhere. In the biggest problem that he encounters, he sees opportunities.
Yeah.
And problems are there to turn around in a chance. And that's where the good entrepreneurs. Look at Musk. Look at the big guys that build companies from nothing. They just go for it. Very opportunistic. And initially they are not in there for the money. Musk bet all of his money and all of his company every time he made the next move.
Yeah.
Everything. And that's a lot of money actually.
Yeah. And so he's a risk taker.
He's a risk taker. And it's not taking, it's a calculated risk because he believes in what he is doing. If he doesn't believe in what he's doing, he would never do it.
Wow. Yeah.
And same with me. I mean, if I don't believe in the challenge that somebody is attacking, I will tell him. I said, okay, I would never do the business of that, but if you do it, think about this, think about it. I'm not trying to run people down, and there's also people, that coaches and mentors that always find the negative in the thing. I'm trying to find the positive in the things, because the negative they will find themselves. the positive thing is you get if somebody is really down, you have to lift him up, put him on his feet again, and hopefully you manage to climb up the hill again.
Where did you get this mindset? If we go back to your childhood, what did you always want it to be?
Yeah. I always wanted to be an electronic engineer, like playing with electronics and things like that. I was always curious. I had a creative mind, and that's from my mother because she's a painter, and my father is a designer from men's clothes. Was because he's passed away.
Exactly.
And so there's creativity in our blood somehow, and that's I think what happened is that I wanted to create things. And why did I become an entrepreneur? Initially, I had no plan to be an entrepreneur. When I was one of the guys that still had to go to the army. I had this 2 years enforced enrollment of the army.
Did you do it?
Yeah. And, you don't have to. You can try to actually circumvent it with all sorts of things, but it will chase you forever. So I said once I was with my third, I had a 6-year study, and my third year I said, okay, I'm going to go now in the army because when I'm finished with my study, I can roll over into a job. That was the plan. So when I went into the army, I actually learned how to because it was an officer's position, because of your study, you are actually asked to be an officer in the army. So you're also forced to be for leadership for 36 people in the soldiers in the platoon. So all of a sudden you're there 25 years old, and there's a platoon of 25 and sometimes older guys that you have to lead. So you learn leadership, well, the hard way basically. They just put you in front of it and you just manage it. You manage it or you don't manage it. If you don't manage it, they promote you away to a desk space or whatever, or you be a soldier. And I had fun. I was at the time already with electronics and computers, and now all of a sudden I was the head of all communication for the engineer corps. And there was a position that normally there will be some official like a captain or a major that would do it, but they made a mistake with planning and there was nobody there. I said, I can do it because I'm electronic hobbyist and I think I can do it. So they put me there, and I had my own office and I had my own truck and chauffeur and everything. So I had a great time. But also you also know how to do leadership. What is involved with leadership? Motivating people. You can tell people you have to do this and that, but then if they are not motivated, it will not happen.
Yeah.
So I try to make it a fun time for my whole platoon. They had this equipment there that they never used because it's only used for exercises 2 times a year. I said, okay, what we do is often they do not know what the capabilities of the equipment are. You have this huge equipment there, costs tons of money, and they don't know what the capabilities are. They only know that they have to push that button and then it will work. So what I did is I organized small exercises, 1-day exercises with the platoon just close by the barracks, in the field somewhere in the woods, and we had a marvelous time. And they actually understood what they were doing, and they got fun. They liked it. Yeah. So all of a sudden you have this motivated platoon instead of the guys that will sit there and just wait until their official time is over and then go work.
Yeah. And why did they before? Now it's not a requirement, but before it was a requirement for you to serve sometimes in the army. Why was it then and not now?
I think at one stage they said that because there was this Cold War was over and they didn't need, because it was a lot of people actually at the time. And now it's an official professional army sort of. Yeah. And it's much smaller. It's 10 times smaller than it was. Okay. But they had lots of troops. You needed a lot of bodies actually. Yeah. Wow. So it's crazy times. And you look at also as a researcher, you look at the army at that time. The survival time of a tank in battlefield was 10 minutes. Wow. So you have this machine, like what was the tank cost? 10 million or so. In 10 minutes, 10 million is gone. So what kind of business case is that?
Yeah, but at least, how many shots it does? 10?
So,
yeah, I can imagine. Wow. Do you think that shaped you in a way, because you were talking about
Yes.
this and it shaped you to then how did you manage to become an entrepreneur? Is it-
Well, I just started as a student. This is the easiest thing to do. That's why Yes Delft is so important. I started as a student. At that time, there were no Yes Delfts, and there were no incubators, there were no grants, and there was nothing basically.
Yeah.
There was a program in Rotterdam actually to help. If you start a business, you can get help with opening a bank account, because a bank account even wasn't possible.
Wow.
Well, you don't have a track record, and the bank, they looks at you. You do a software company? No, we don't want to touch it. So, at the time, it was difficult, more difficult than it was now. But as a student, you have already. I was still studying. You have your room, you study apartment. Actually, it was in Rotterdam. I studied in Delft, so I went with the train to Delft every time. But then the risk is low. You don't have kids, you don't have a wife, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have a car. Sometimes I did have a car, but you don't have costs basically.
Yeah.
You can run your life for, like, at the time, 300, 400 euros a month.
Yeah.
So the rest you spend, the time you spend building a company, and it was easy to do basically. And it was a computer software company, so I bought a computer for, it was 6,000 euros guilders at the time, so 6,000 euros now. Crazy expensive, and 2 floppy disks, no hard drive.
Yeah, the floppy disk time.
Yeah. So, but that's how I started. So that you can do that easily. So I did my study, and I studied when I came back from university. I did my study for like 2 hours, and then too short basically, because I always had problems in getting the exams. And then you start working on your software, and so we worked the 2 hours. I had a co-founder at the time till 3 o'clock in the night.
Wow. Do you still have that company now, or?
Yeah. No, I sold that. That is all. That's the company that grew actually to become Eclipse, and Eclipse is doing for all the cars, the tires on the cars, formulations of rubber and testing of the rubber car compounds worldwide for all the big companies.
What was the company for? You said software, but how did it?
Laboratory automation.
Okay.
And it pivoted. First we did, because my co-founder had a project to do route planning for trucks. So if you have, for example, and it was for the Nemeba here, the bread yeast company for here in Rotterdam. And they have this truck, and then they have this white yeast, I think yeast is called, and then black or brown. So with and without the seeds in it. And they said, okay, we have 15 addresses where we have to go with this one truck. How do we do this?
Yeah.
And what's the shortest route? And then they had 15 trucks, and they had 200 addresses. Oh, it's a complicated thing. And he actually graduated on that, and we made a software package for PC for it and sold it. So that was our first customers. And then we pivoted we additionally did burning wounds for treatment for Erasmus University, because we were the first software company using PCs as the platform. There were no PC companies. You had Exact, which are 5 guys, also students, that also tried to actually make something, but then in the accountancy field, we were doing technical stuff.
Yeah.
So you got from all sides. You got inquiries for, can you do this? Can you? And we always say yes, because we had no clue if we could do it, but we would try anyway. And one of the things also was for a rubber company where I graduated actually, and the guy in the laboratory said, we have this huge problem with formulations, storing that. Can you make something for it? I said, yes, I can, but you need to bring 2 other customers, because for one customer it's a lot of work and you can't resell it. Well, and 2 weeks later they said, yeah, I have 2 customers, so come do it. So that was my first customer. And then I went on with that. So it grew and grew and grew. In 95 we went to the States. We got DSM as a customer, because the guy that introduced me the first time moved to DSM, and he showed what they had at his former company. And DSM said, oh, we want this, and we want this in 5 different laboratories all around the world. So then you have to go international. So that actually happened.
Wow, that's really an amazing story. But what made you study the field that you studied?
Well, I was mechanical engineering, and I was always busy with mopeds and
stuff. So you like to kind of like work with your hand?
cut myself.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so mechanical engineering. I never ever did anything with mechanical engineering, but you learn about a way of thinking basically. It's a creative. Mechanical engineering is a creative study.
Yeah.
And I did the mechanical part, so not the logistics part, but the mechanical part. So it's a creative process. You try to design a crane and how are the forces and things like that. And you have to have that in your mind. It's the same as an architect, but then for machinery.
Yeah.
So I'll sometimes say, okay, it's architects for machines.
Yeah. Okay, and this is I love how you kind of took your time to become an entrepreneur. But what if I could ask you, what is the three most important character an entrepreneur should have to succeed?
Well, positive mindset. That's for one. So you have to see challenges and not risks or problems. You can identify them as a risk, but you have to see it also as an opportunity to be better, because it's a risk for you, it's a risk for somebody else. If you cover it and you solve it, you have an advantage against the other guy that see only the risk and doesn't have the solution.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. You have to be persistent, because it is hard to start.
Yeah.
And it's a lifestyle right now. Everybody wants to. If you're a startup, you're the star of the evening, right?
Yeah.
But it's a hard thing, and there's only a few that are successful.
Yeah.
And the old rule still applies. From 10 startups, 9 will not be successful.
That's true.
1 might be successful.
Yeah.
And on the bigger scale, from the 100 startups, 99 will not be the billion-dollar company. 1 will be one.
Yeah.
So, well, you have to be persistent, and you have to do this. And,
yeah.
So that's the second one. And the third one, I think you need to be a communicator in these days. I mean, it's more important. I'm now a communicator because I have to. I mean, that's basically. But you need to also talk to customers. You need to be able to sell it. So if you are like an introvert person and you see a lot of startups coming up, and they are foraging their researchers. Well, research is you are in your cabinet and you're thinking about problems that you're solving, but you are alone.
Yeah.
And team play. The team is the most important thing for a startup to succeed. If the team is not right, the startup won't ever be big.
Yeah, that's very true. I love it. So first of all, you have to be positive and look for the opportunities instead of the risk. And if you find a risk, try to make it into a challenge and solve it. The second one is persistency or persistent. And then the third one is to be a good communicator.
Yeah, team player.
And a team player. So basically if you're a team player, you're good at communicating.
The one actually fits to the other.
Yeah, that's wow. This is really amazing information actually I'm getting from you, because you have this experience of your life and you did this for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
What is one mistake that you did that shaped the person that you are today?
Oh, that's a difficult question. A mistake that shaped me today. Let me think about it. There's many mistakes actually. You learn from mistakes. That's the thing. If you don't learn from mistakes, then you're done. Basically, that's one of the things. Well, I think one of the mistakes that I made is that we didn't involve. Well, at the time it was also a different situation where we didn't. If we grew our company and we could have grown it much bigger.
Yeah.
If we were living in the times now, like the startup that I am now, that can grow big in such a scale that we took 15 years to get there, they will get there in 2-3 years.
Wow.
Also, the same thing. It's 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's a real exponential firm because they are still growing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not done yet. They just started. So that will be some sort of huge corporation as well. So. And this Dutch analytics startup that I'm in now, that could grow to a corporate, to be huge.
Yeah.
And
but what is it, that one thing that is available now, it wasn't there?
Well, the access to money, and for one thing, the communication lines. I mean, if you know, at the time when we traveled, I need to go to travel agency to book my flights.
That's true, yeah.
And so the communication is so much quicker. It's instant. While at that time we had fax machines, and then you send something to the States, and then you had to wait till they wake up, and then maybe you get an answer the same day, but most often it was the next day.
Yeah.
And now with email, things like that, internet, you can also see already who's the person you're going to meet.
Yeah.
You find him on LinkedIn or on Facebook if you have that, and you can see who you're meeting and what is his connections, or what's the shared network? Is he in the same network as I am?
Yeah.
If he's not, why are we connecting?
Yeah. That's true. So wow. So now, so basically, technology made everything faster. That's why it's faster for startup to scale up faster than before.
Well, I think the mistake I did is that I should have taken more on board and more risk even at the time, because we were without any loans. I could have taken an investor on board and grow this 10 times bigger than it was. And not because of the money, because of the impact. You could have actually scaled it to different industries or something. But it didn't happen, so I'm happy. I'm not complaining.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's jump now when I invited you for the public speaking summer class collaboration with Venture Cafe.
That was fun, by the way.
Yeah, it was really fun, and you made it twice as much fun with the idea that you came in with the dream, and it was sell your dreams basically. And you talked about, I was just like, my mouth was open, like I was mind blown, like I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but it made me so excited, and I think the whole room were so excited. Maybe can you talk about the Dome 2020?
Yeah.
I'll let you say it.
The Burning Man, Dome 2020. Well, the Dome 2020 was actually an idea. I had I was a Burning Man long ago, and it's virtual reality in reality. That's the best thing to describe it. So it's like you are in a dream.
Yeah.
But you're not in a dream because it's very real. It's 45 degrees, and sometimes it's a sandstorm, and you lose your way. You can't find your own tent anymore. But I always thought, well, maybe I want to go back there sometimes, and then because they have machines and they have installations, and it's an art fair basically for people, and they build big things. I sponsored one of the projects, and that was a Boeing 747, so like an old Boeing 747. They bought that somewhere from the salvage yard. They have those salvage yards in the desert.
Yeah.
They bought one, cut the wings off, put some sort of a drive underneath, and they drove that big thing on the playa there around, and it was a huge cafe inside.
Wow.
So they opened the inside, and you can actually have a drink, and there was music and things like that. So they made it some sort of a driving cafe.
Oh, so it's keep driving.
It kept driving. It kept moving all the time. And so that was one thing. And then you have these big bicycles, or they have this buggy that they have, like a car, which is normally 4 or 5 meters long. Yeah. This one was 50 meters. So they extended everything. It was like a huge Volkswagen bug. So they do things that make you think like it looks out of this world, basically. And they also have static art pieces where you can climb in, and it's a fantastic experience.
Yeah. Which one was the first year you went to?
I have to remember. It's a long time ago, like 10 years ago.
Like maybe 2002,
I think, 2003, somewhere there.
Yeah.
And because it was actually extending a business trip, I was there already. So I said, okay, it's now, and just go visit it. I didn't have any clue where I was going.
Wow.
So I took a car, and it's like almost a 2.5 hours drive to get there. And you go into the desert, you think, where am I going? It's on and on and on, and all of a sudden you're in the city. You have caravans and RVs parked everywhere, and they built the city in the desert actually for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So when I saw that, I said, okay, one day I will come back and have our own. And now in Yes Delft, they have obviously a lot of construction companies there that they can make things. So let's make something weird that we bring there as Yes Delft. That will show that there's more than just the Americans. We can do this as well. And then I came to talk to a female entrepreneur. It's called Joelle Vrijters, and she is one of the founders of Improve Digital. And she sold the company, and she has spare time, so I asked her to get into Yes Delft as the first female entrepreneur resident. Yeah. Because there's no woman in Yes Delft. And she's very creative. She has a very creative mind. So I talked to her in a restaurant in Breda to actually try to get her on board. I said, okay, you sold your company. What are you going to do? What's your bucket list? What are you going to do now? well, CS got this Inspiring 50, this woman thing that they organize. I want to grow that, and I want to go to Burning Man. I said, oh, you also want to go to Burning Man? So we want planning something with Yes Delft entrepreneurs. Oh, all right. What are you gonna do? I said, well, maybe a big spider or maybe a big car, or whatever, something mechanical. Well, she said, maybe, well, everybody's doing that. Maybe you should do something sustainable, because this is not done, and it's also you leave no trace, but then you don't leave any trace, even not carbon footprint. I said, okay, that's a good idea. And said, she said, why don't you do something with a greenhouse? Because that's something that's green and well, there is a startup in Jesdel that does greenhouses in the desert. So that's easy one. So you could use a startup and put them there, and then you're already done. But we said, okay, let's take it further. We'd get the energy from a kite. And there's kite power, which runs a big generator with a kite, and the kite does figure 8 flights in the air and pulls the line, and the line pulls the generator. So you have power. 1 megawatt, which is quite a lot. So you can, during the night you have power, during the day you have solar power. So basically you don't need a diesel generator, because if you go there, that's the first thing you notice is diesel smell.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Because there's no power station, there's power from diesel generators. So then we took it further and said, okay, we need some fast growing thing.